The crystalline spires of Zaphiria's capital city lay in ruins, their once brilliant surfaces now cracked and dulled by years of neglect. Anna pressed her four-fingered hand against the observation deck's viewport, watching the last transport ship disappear into the void beyond their dying world's atmosphere. "They're all gone," she whispered, her bioluminescent skin flickering with patterns of deep sadness. The Zaphirian language had 17 different emotional spectrums that could be expressed through their natural light displays, but Anna felt none of them could capture her despair. Raza stood beside her, his own skin pulsing with muted colors of resignation. As the chief xenobiologist of their species, he had spent decades studying other worlds, other possibilities. Now, with their sun entering its final death throes and the Galactic Council's rejection still fresh in his memory, those studies felt meaningless. "The Altarians said we were too emotionally volatile," Raza said bitterly. "The Centaurians claimed our bioluminescence would interfere with their sleep cycles. The Andromedans," he let his words trail off, the memory too painful to vocalize. The Galactic Council had been their last hope. When Zaphiria's star began its rapid expansion toward becoming a red giant, their entire civilization had pooled resources to send diplomatic missions to every known spacefaring species. They had offered their advanced biotechnology, their artistic achievements, even their willing servitude in exchange for sanctuary on another world. Every species had found reasons to refuse them. "What about the restricted sectors?" Anna asked, though they both knew the answer. "Surely there are worlds we haven't contacted." Raza's skin shifted to patterns of grim amusement. "You mean the primitive sectors? The species that haven't even achieved faster-than-light travel?" He shook his head. "The Council explicitly forbids contact with pre-FTL civilizations. It's considered cultural contamination." Anna turned away from the viewport. Their world had perhaps 6 months before the expanding sun would render it uninhabitable. Most of their people had already accepted death, with the stoic grace that had once made their species respected throughout the galaxy. But Anna couldn't accept it. Somewhere out there in the vast expanse of space there had to be hope. "Show me," she said suddenly. "Show you what?" "The restricted sectors, the primitive worlds. Show me everything." Raza hesitated. As a xenobiologist, with clearance to study pre-contact civilizations, he had access to extensive databases that most Zaphirians never saw. "Anna, even if we could reach one of those worlds, we'd be violating every law the Council has established. And these species, they're barely out of their technological infancy. Our people are going to die, Raza, all of them. What laws matter now?" After a long moment, Raza activated the holographic display. Star maps materialized around them, showing the forbidden regions of the galaxy where primitive species dwelt, in isolation. Most were single-planet civilizations, barely capable of reaching their own moons. But one system caught Anna's attention immediately. "There," she said, pointing to a yellow star with 9 planets. "What about that one?" Raza expanded, the display, his skin flickering with surprise. "Sol 3. They call it Earth. The species there is unusual." "How so?" "They're incredibly diverse, for one thing. Most primitive species have relatively homogeneous populations, but these humans have developed dozens of distinct cultures, languages, and belief systems on a single world." Raza paused, his bioluminescence shifting to patterns of scientific curiosity. "They're also remarkably adaptable. They've colonized every environment on their planet, from frozen wastelands to scorching deserts." Anna studied the data streams, flowing past them. Images of humans in various environments, their technology, their art, their conflicts. "They fight each other," she observed. "Constantly," Raza confirmed. "But they also demonstrate unprecedented cooperation when faced with common threats. Their species has a saying, 'The enemy of my enemy is my friend.' And their technology? Primitive by our standards, but advancing rapidly. They've achieved nuclear fusion, basic space travel, and they're beginning to understand genetic manipulation." Raza's skin darkened with concern. Anna, you can't be seriously considering this. Even if we could reach their world, even if they didn't reject us like everyone else, we'd be condemning them to council retaliation. Anna was quiet for a long moment, processing the information. Then her skin began to glow with patterns of determined hope. What if the council never found out? That's impossible. Any refugee movement involving our entire species would. Not our entire species, Anna interrupted. Just the children, the next generation. A small group that could integrate slowly, carefully. Raza stared at her. You're talking about abandoning our world, our culture, everything we are. I'm talking about survival. Anna's bioluminescence pulsed with fierce resolve. Look at their history, Raza. These humans have welcomed refugees before. They have a concept they call sanctuary. And look at their genetic diversity. Our children could adapt, could blend in as their medical knowledge advances. Over the following weeks, Anna and Raza worked in secret, developing a plan that would have been unthinkable under normal circumstances. They identified 12 Zaphirian children whose families had already perished, whose loss would go unnoticed in the chaos of their dying world. Using their most advanced stealth technology, they prepared a small ship capable of reaching the Sol system. The children would be placed in biostasis pods designed to slowly alter their physiology during the journey, suppressing their natural bioluminescence and modifying their appearance to more closely resemble human adolescence. The pods will also implant basic human language centers and cultural knowledge, Raza explained as they made final preparations. When they wake up, they'll remember Zaphiria, but they'll also instinctively understand how to survive among humans. Anna nodded, her skin displaying patterns of sorrowful determination. And the cover story? Orphaned refugees from a conflict in an uncharted region. The humans have dealt with similar situations throughout their history. Their governments have protocols for handling displaced persons. As their sun began its final expansion, Anna and Raza launched the small craft toward Earth. They watched until it disappeared into the darkness, carrying the last hope of their species toward a blue-green world whose inhabitants had never heard of the Galactic Council's laws. 6 months later, Zaphiria was consumed by its dying star. The galaxy mourned the loss of an entire civilization, and the Council issued statements about the tragedy of stellar evolution and the limits of galactic intervention. On Earth, 12 teenagers were quietly integrated into various refugee programs across different continents. Their unusual intelligence and adaptive capabilities were noted, but attributed to trauma and resilience. They excelled in their studies, particularly in sciences and arts, though they sometimes displayed an odd habit of avoiding bright lights. As years passed, they began to find each other through carefully coded messages on primitive human communication networks. They called themselves the Forgotten, and they carried within them the accumulated knowledge and dreams of Zaphiria.